Now look, this isn't exactly a quote-unquote trade request, but when you read all the comments, you look at all the context, you read the tea leaves, this is essentially a trade request, just not being publicly announced or confirmed as a quote-unquote trade request, but it's a trade request. It's a trade request, come on, like that's exactly what it is. We had Seth Jones speaking out to Ben Pope of the Chicago Sun-Times earlier this afternoon, talking about the Blackhawks with trade possibilities in mind. I would like to give myself a chance to win. The 30-year-old D-man knows his $9.5 million salary cap hit will not be an easy thing to move, but if the Hawks can make a trade happen, it sounds like he might welcome it. Might. Oh no, he will. He definitely will. Seth Jones is being written and published about here on ChicagoSunTimes.com. I'll leave a link in the description if you want to go out there and read this article. You can read it for free if you watch a 30-second video, but ultimately there are donations that you could go out there and do as well to the Chicago Sun-Times. However, because this is our scoop, we need to go out there and talk about Seth Jones and his conversations with the Blackhawks about the possibility of a trade. I would like to give myself a chance to win in my career. I know that the money is not an easy thing to move, and that's what we are figuring out. Look, it's a gosh darn trade request. What else do you want to go out there and say? I mean, there are people going out there and replying like, hey, he's always played for a bad team that didn't have a chance at a cup. He'll probably get moved to Dallas. Seems like a good guy, but it just hasn't worked out. When he got here, he was sold that he was going to have a chance. Tays got sick, and the Hawks decided to go through a rebuild. We'll probably have to retain money in the $2-3 million range, maybe $4, if they're really looking at a deal to get through. If he gets traded, best of luck. With Shea Theodore being out, I could see Vegas making a push for him, and maybe we can get away with not retaining any salary at all. Yeah, okay, I don't know if Vegas is going to be a Seth Jones, destination, but Jones does have a very beefy deal. It's $9.5 million AAV on the cap hit, and it goes on till 2029-2030. This is also why I'm going out there and using that trade request label. It's a full no movement clause deal. He has to accept a trade to wherever it is that he gets traded to, and he's already speaking about it to local media saying, yeah, I would like to give myself a chance to win. If I get traded, that would totally be awesome. And I know it's not exactly verbatim what he said. It's in the article here. It's even on this article on ProHockeyRumors.com. Here are some of the quotes from the man himself. Seth Jones speaks out about this, saying, if it happens, it happens. Obviously, while I'm here with the Blackhawks, they have my full effort and my full attention. Even though he would welcome a move if Chicago can find one, he hasn't formally requested a trade. He also added that he would hope a trade would give him a chance to join a playoff contender. Like, you see, this is what I mean. What do you mean trade request, not a trade request? You are literally talking about it to the local media saying, yeah, if I get traded, I want to go to a contender. That'd be great. I would welcome a move if the Chicago Blackhawks found a trade for me, but I'm not requesting it. Oh no, this is them. We're talking about me extending my career in a winning capacity by going to a team that's going to allow me that opportunity. Great. And this all does work well because, as per this ProHockeyRumors.com article, the Blackhawks have reportedly been contacted by multiple teams interested in acquiring Jones, but his lofty contract is a wedge in any negotiations. He's in year 3 of an 8-year, $76 million contract signed on the same day he was traded to Chicago in July of 2021. His $9.5 million cap hit makes Jones the 7th most expensive defender in the NHL, but his 26 points in 38 games this season ranks 14th in points per game amongst defensemen. Jones' stat line is rounded out with a -12, 16 penalty minutes, and 55 hits, continuing to paint him as a high offense, low defense puck mover. The article then talks about how Jones's career has gone so far in Chicago, the #1 defenseman through each of the last 4 seasons, rivaling an average of 25 minutes of ice time every season. Yeah, okay, the guy's getting played like crazy. He is a #1 D-man in Chicago with 145 points in 255 games, the 3rd most of any Chicago defender since 2000, behind Duncan Keith and Brent Seabrook. And when you put it like that, I mean, Seth Jones is in some really good company, isn't he? He literally is one of the most important Blackhawks defenders they've had over the past few years. However, unlike Seabrook and Keith, Jones has not led his team to the same heights as that company. He has provided a consistent veteran presence in front of a rebuilding Chicago lineup, and the Hawks haven't helped Jones along too much either. They finished 7th or 8th in the Central and ranked in the bottom 4 of NHL scoring in every year he has spent with the club. Jones has been vocal about the emotional weight of that persistent losing, telling Pope last season that the losing nature isn't fun for anyone involved. And so, when you think about the Blackhawks and their future, I mean, this article goes out there and talks about top prospects, Artyom Levshunov and Sam Rinzel, and then of course you've got Connor Bedard there too. There are some young pieces in Chicago that can help this team get better sooner, but Seth Jones is 30 years old, and he's kind of in that spot where it's like, hey, you've been here for so long, you haven't found a way to win anything yet. I mean, it's not like anybody was expecting Seth Jones to play a part of this Blackhawks team and then all of a sudden put them into contender status again, but they were pretty reasonably okay in his first year. 51 points and 78 games played. You go back over to the Blackhawks in that season and you will see some other guys that were near the top of the team. I mean, Patty Kane had a 92-point year that season. Sure, they weren't really a playoff contender, but they were still decent enough to be competitive. Jonathan Toews was also there too, so who knows? With a core of Kane and Toews, anything can happen, right? But for Seth Jones, now with no Kane, no Toews, no DeBrincat, Connor Bedard's here, the team stinks, and they're still near the bottom of the standings, it's very easy to understand why Seth Jones is speaking to the local Chicago media saying, yeah, I'd like to give myself a chance to win. If I get traded, that'd be awesome, and I want to go to a team that can help me make the playoffs. But I'm not requesting a trade yet. That is so nuanced in the way it's being discussed. I guess you can say that it's like, if you dial it down to a granular level, it's not that Seth Jones is necessarily saying to Chicago that he wants out, but he's not really saying that he wants to stick around either. Like, obviously, he has his full effort and attention focused towards Chicago, but he's like, yeah, please, if you find a trade for me, trade me. It's kind of like an agnostic point of view, to be honest. But still, I'm going to label it as a trade request because he's literally saying here that they've talked about it with Chicago and they're trying to work something out with the money. It seems like a very reasonably peaceful parting of the ways between Seth Jones and Chicago when he inevitably is traded, with or without salary retention, because that $9.5 million cap hit is an albatross of a deal. So let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. How do you feel about Seth Jones and his very apparent and very non-confrontational trade request with the Chicago Blackhawks over to a cup contending team? Do you think he's got the possibility to find a fit with a team like Dallas or with Vegas or with any of these other teams that need defensemen? Let me know in the comments, where do you think the best destination for Seth Jones would be, and do you think a trade is actually possible? I hope you enjoyed this video, and bye.